Hi, it's Carly McAvoy. Today I want to show you how to solve linear equations, quadratic equations, and cubic equations using the TI-36X Pro. So first of all, for linear equations, you're going to be using the number-solve button. It's just above the sign button here as a second function. So go ahead and press second function and the sign button, and that's going to give you, set up the equation. It's going to ask you to enter what you want to enter. So notice down here below the x squared button, we have a variable button. It doesn't matter what variable your problem has. You can just use x and then substitute the other variable in when you're done, but you could push this button until you get through all the choices, but I'm just going to use x. So I have 2 and then the variable button 2x minus 5. And then I'm going to use my arrow button over here to get to the other side of the equation. I'm going to jump over the equal sign. And then 5x minus 11. And then I just hit enter. And hit enter one more time. And one more time. And it tells me that x equals 2. And what they're saying in that bottom statement is that if you subtract the left from the right, you get 0. Because if the two things are equal, it should get you 0 all around, right? What I want to warn you about the TI-36X Pro is if you have equations that have infinite number of solutions or no solution, it does not do those for you. So it'll just show like it looks like x equals 0. So if I put that, let's say I put 3x equals 3x, and what you should be able to see is that if I put x is 1, then I have 3 equals 3. If x was 2, I'd have 6 equals 6, and so forth. So any real number could make this true. And so if I wanted to put that in the calculator, it wouldn't show me all real numbers. Also, I want to remind you to clear this out because it stores values. So in order to clear out, you're going to push the on button at the bottom and the clear button twice. And what that does is it just clears your memory. Then I can go back and do second function, the number solve, and enter the equation. So if I enter 3x and then jump over the equal sign with the arrow, then enter 3x again, hit enter, 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 and it just shows me x equals 0 and solve again. So it does not solve the ones where there is no solution or where there's all real numbers or solutions. That's not going to tell you anything. Okay, the next kind is the solving a quadratic, and that one is the poly solve button that's above the cosine button on your calculator. Again, I'm going to clear all this out, and then I'm going to hit second function polysolve, and there you can see the cubic or the quadratic equations are there. I'm going to hit enter for quadratic, which is second power equation, and then I enter the a, b, and c. Remember that your a is the value next to the x squared term, your b is the value next to the second x term, and then the constant term is your c. So our a is 1, hit enter or arrow down. B is -1, hit enter, and C is -6. Make sure you're not using the minus sign for the negative, you're using that negative sign at the bottom of the calculator for your negative. And then hit enter, enter, and it's going to show you x equals -1, hit enter again, and x equals 3. So you have two different values for that. And then if you want to see that in vertex form, remember what vertex form is? Like this. You can take in that form, you can go over to, see these arrows over here, go scroll down, and it will say, do you want to store variable number 1, which I don't? Do you want to store variable number 2, which I don't? And the third one says, do you want to see it in the function form? And I hit yes, and now it tells me that A is actually 1, that h is 1/2, and k is -25/4. Now I could clean that up if I wanted, but it gives you those values directly from that. And third, then if I wanted to do a cubic equation, I would do the same button. I'm going to hit on and clear a couple of times to clear that memory. And then second function polysolve, go down 1 to cubic, and it's going to ask you to enter your A, which in this case is 2, B is -3, C is -3. There's no D here, so I'm going to enter 0 for that. And then hit solve again, and it starts giving me my values. And these values are decimal numbers, so if you needed a fraction, it would take a little more effort to get to those. But it's going to give you the first value, the second value, the third value, because there's 3 different values there. All right, have a fantastic day. We'll see you next time.